Good night. It is a new season of Cut Deep. We're on season 3, episode 3. The concept of Cut Deep was developed with a focus on encouraging the wider public to think more in depth on issues that plague us, encouraging persons to have a voice and to use that voice to invoke change. Cut Deep is an interactive platform cutting through the noise and political rhetoric. It is raw, uncut, challenging you to think critically. What do the issues mean for us? What part do we play? It is a platform that will move the Virgin Islands toward unified, integrated success. I want to welcome back Blossoms Florist and McKelly's Beauty Salon as our support sponsors for Cut Deep Season 3. I also welcome Bayside to our roster of sponsors for Season 3 as well. I also want to highlight and thank those of you who continue to support this platform from behind the scenes. You know who you are, and I want to say that I truly appreciate you. The giant in the form of the Commission of Inquiry is still a huge topic and conversation wherever you turn, as it should be. But are we having the right conversation? Are we bothered by the right things as it relates to this inquiry and the future of the Virgin Islands? One thing that has stood out to me, and I hope to the electorate and other residents of these islands as well, is the clear silence from our community leaders, those that have stood for election in the past years and those that will stand in coming years. Your silence boggles my mind. It makes me wonder on the seriousness of who you say you are and your willingness to really stand and make change for this territory. Your ability to be the change and guiding light that the youth so desperately need. So tonight, we'll focus on the negatives and positives of the past couple weeks. Let us take a short break and come right back with the show for tonight.
Hey, Dante. What's up? Why you look like you're about to pass out?
I think I am. But anyhow.
Chuck, what you doing?
Remember last year when I spoke to you over the phone? When I said, well. Anyhow, ever since that moment, I was wanting to take this step further with you.
OMG, Dante!
I want to know if you, Via, would officially have me as your sales rep with a friend.
What?
To get live in our February promotions.
Huh?
Get live, get love, and get gifted. Bring a friend to CCT to sign up for a freedom plan. Take a picture with them in the store and post to social media with the hashtag GetLiveCCT. Then put your receipt with your number in the golden basket and wait on a call from Jante. First place gets $500 each. Second place, matching Samsung Galaxy A30s. And third place, $150 shopping vouchers each to One-Mart.
So are you really saying?
Really? And I could bring a friend too?
More the merrier.
Welcome back to the show for tonight. Thank you to our sponsors for their continued support. Tonight, I have invited Kishma Penn to sit with me once more. The aim is to have a raw, candid conversation about the BVI and in particular, the developments of the last couple weeks. This conversation is so candid, I have not even come up with questions, but will allow this conversation to go where it may. Kishma, welcome back to the set of Cut Deep.
Hi, Cindy.
It's lovely to have you once again. And I reached out to you because I wanted to have this raw, candid conversation about the BVI, conversations that are going on right now as it relates to this Commission of Inquiry, and just things that I am disappointed in hearing in terms of where the focus seems to be concentrated. Right. There was a lot of hustle and bustle about our reputation internationally, and that seemed to be the biggest conversation coming out of this commission of inquiry being put on the table. And you know, that worried me a little bit because we're not having a conversation as to why we're even here having a commission of inquiry. We're like, oh, what about our international reputation? Why don't you just briefly tell me what you think about the commission of inquiry, the conversations that you've heard around you, and just basically your position as it stands in terms of that.
Well, of course, you know, I don't know if you caught my last few lines, but I am in support of the Commission of Inquiry. I think we needed, I call it pull the handbrakes. I think the country needed the handbrakes pulling for a very long time. As it relates to what you mentioned, the people being worried about the international reputation, you're right. I feel as though, like, we here, and yes, our international reputation, you know, gone to the dogs, but what led it to actually be here? Like that's what you should be concentrating on, like the chain of events that led up to the actual commission of inquiry, and our silence and complacency in allowing those things to happen.
I want to say that I don't even think that our reputation has been shot. I see it as a really good thing based on what can come out of the commission of inquiry. The foundation that can be laid coming out of it. And, you know, I think investors, there is confidence when there is proper oversight, proper governance, and so forth. So I see it from that perspective in terms of our international reputation and whether it could be shut or not. The other thing is, I feel like we've sat back. Like you said, we've sat back and we haven't done anything to avoid this blow that was coming. It is disappointing to me. Okay, so we get into the conversation of black and white and who's calling each other house slaves and all of this nastiness. But for me, I'm thinking that it is embarrassing that we even have to be here, that we have to be dragged up by anybody, by any overseer. I don't care what the color of the skin is. That we have to be dragged up to say, come on, do something right for your people. Because this is about the BVI. As much as a story as they want to put out there about this colonialism, and people are pulling their hierarchy weight or whatever, it's embarrassing that they have to do that. That they have to force you to want to protect your people. Because this is about the protection of the BVI and our people. Because where there's a lack of good governance, we're in trouble, as we can all see.
Yeah, we know. Well, I think one of the problems is I don't think that people understand the different tiers of responsibility that comes with the different levels and different branches of government, and understanding that the governor above all else is responsible for the security of the people and the safety of the people. So at times where people are confused or people are misinformed, they don't know that the crown has a responsibility to make sure that there's good governance. They don't know that the crown has a responsibility to make sure that there's security. I mean, like, we've been, as far as I can see, reading between the lines and paying attention. I tell people I pay attention to more than just what's in front of me. I watch the bigger picture. You know, the way in which we govern has been monitored for a long time. And there's been selective positioning by the crown of certain persons within even our civil service. So it's like the overseers were there. And I've heard comments being made about the various governors being corrupt because everything that happened under previous corrupt administrations happened with the governors, basically the saying, the governor's blessing. But I always answer when people come up to me or people message me or respond to me when I bring up the topic of my life, I always answer by saying, you gotta give the man a rope to hang himself. I sat back and leave you because I knew what you were going to do, and I wanted to see how blatantly obvious you were going to do it. And they know they were being watched.
I don't know. That could be some of it. Giving the dog, rope to hang itself. But I like to bring up my age now and again. And I consider myself young when it comes to, I guess people older than me, or my parents or grandparents or whatever, right? For me, like you, I watch, I observe, I pay attention, not just to what is right here in front of me, but what's going on around me and even further down. I find that the UK does not necessarily like to overstep.
Correct.
I feel that the BVI is pretty much self-governing. And so she gives us that space to do what we need to do. It doesn't mean that she's not paying attention or the governors couldn't do more or whatever. And I hear Sam raging at the mouth with it. Oh, the governor sits in cabinet and whatever happens in cabinet, he knows. It's not that simple though.
I know that.
It's not that simple. If the governor is overstepping, it sends a bad message for us as when it comes to the whole colonialism thing and our opportunity to self-govern. So I can see that they try their best not to overstep and allow things to happen. Now, there's a lot of conversation about, why this is happening now. Okay, and I can tell you the VIP, they can say I'm wrong. I can always say that they can go and say that I'm wrong if they would like to. The VIP is out there planting a lot of stories. Okay, they're planting a lot of stories because they understand where they are and they understand what's going to happen.
Correct.
But it is said, like this is a big conversation. It is said that the now premier, as the opposition leader, or even when he was sitting on the opposition, has spent so many long hours down by the governor. Okay, the past governor, this governor, when he was the opposition leader, he sat so many hours down there and he's talking about what's going on and the BVI is corrupt and the NDP is corrupt and we have to bring an end to it.
Correct.
And all of this is happening and basically trying to position himself as, I would be this amazing leader for the Virgin Islands. Okay, great.
Savior.
Whatever was going on under the NDP administration, I'm sure there are things that have gone on that we don't know, that hasn't come to the forefront. The governor would know. They sit in cabinet. I'm sure maybe Andrew Foy, he was privy to certain information. Okay, so you're down there and you're going through all of this hoopla. You're going to be this amazing leader and these legislations need to come into place. And the UK is saying to you, to the BVI, we want you to have more autonomy. We want you to think about going independent. But here's the foundation at which we want to see this happen. Okay? And Andrew he's great. He can do it. I believe, and I'm telling you how I see it. I believe the governor, Gus Jaspert, believed him. I believe that he believed Andrew, that he wanted to make a change for the BVI, that he was going to work with them to get certain foundations in place. Yes, the UK is watching. Of course they're watching.
Right.
So you're saying you're going to make it happen. And you come in and you're worse. The people are tired. So now the people are tired and they're complaining to the governor. So the UK is going to step in because that's when she moves. She moves when she feels the people are comfortable and want her to. And so she moved.
Right.
So what we're dealing right now, this is all Andrew and the VIP administration. Their inability to be honest, their corrupt ways, their ability to lie and manipulate so well. So this is why we're here. The fact that the premier, I'll say, gave the governor the finger.
I agree.
Okay?
I totally agree with that one.
So we're here now. So we're here, and so to make themselves look good now, they have to plan these stories, and they're foaming at their mouth, and the community meetings are extended, and he's in his district on Saturday night. Did you listen?
I did not.
I did not listen. I blocked them out a long time ago because I'm just like, you know that story when your mom talks about, or your parents talk about calling wolf?
Right.
What happens? I think nobody wants to hear Andrew. Nobody wants to hear them. People have lost such confidence at a high level. They've lost confidence in this administration.
I agree that they've lost confidence. I often ask myself whenever they bring something to the podium, or they bring an idea, or they bring about something different, I always wonder, like, if they, in their minds, think that they still have the level of support that they had at election as they do now. Because the reality is, let's call a spade a spade. You had the lowest voter turnout in the history of the BVI. Of the voters who did turn out, all of them want yours, in the sense of all of them want loyal VIP supporters. Some of them were NDP supporters who just didn't want to vote NDP, so they joined with you. So now you had a low turnout. You're saying that you're doing things as the people's work, but there's a continual growth amongst the grumbling, amongst the people. And this is like the loudest I've ever heard the grumbling. I'm only, this Saturday gonna make me 38 years old, and I'm just hearing everywhere you go, everybody on a soapbox talking about this, talking about that. Everything is an issue, and it's like, I'm idly curious, like, are they that detached from what it is the people want and the people are listening to? Because, like, even with the $9.8 million DDM building, the blogs gone crazy. Everybody wants to know why this building costs so much money. And like, if you're asking for, you're facing the back, you're basically facing, looking down the barrel of a gun. And one of the things that's being questioned is the way in which government spends money and how in which work is being carried out. Why not have your very first contract that's announced after your commission of inquiry coming with the transparency that the public been asking for, where we could see the bill of quantities when the contract gets signed. We could see the estimates from different suppliers for material and equipment and different things that are going in there. And we could see the plan contingency, the specification, the things that exist in private sector with this level of work. Why can't we see, why we at this point, and then you're still trying to convince us, no man, we got a problem. Yeah, man, the building gonna cost us $10 million, but it's fine, it's okay, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, Kishma, even considering this $10 million for this building, right? The BVI is operating on a serious deficit.
I agree.
We're at a serious crossroads where we just don't have the money. We don't have any money. And that's a fact. And it really, I mean, we're on half of a leg. I'm going to say it like that so we understand. We are on half of one of our economic pillars. Half. Financial services is struggling.
And none of the next.
Tourism is shut down tight.
And none of the next.
I don't care what picture they try to put forward.
Right.
Tourism is shut down tight. There are businesses that are closing, and it's easy to say that businesses are closing and moving, and business owners that have lived here for so long are leaving the island because they've lost hope.
Right.
Okay? I'm going to put a name to that face to make it easier for people. in saying that, I mean I'm compiling a list of
I know what you mean.
businesses
I know
that
what
are
you mean.
closing, and that have been really put under based on decisions made by this administration. So this $10 million announcement, every week we have a couple of those. Okay, we're buying land from people that we don't need the land right now.
I don't understand why there's a stop on spending.
There's not
unnecessary spending.
It's unnecessary,
especially when it comes to infrastructural development.
Yeah,
we haven't had a market in over 10 years. We don't need one right now.
We are just spending money as if we have 3 strong pillars.
Yes.
Mine, we only have 2. Okay. We have 2.
And one leg shaky. One gone and one
half a leg of one. And we are spending as if we are on 3 strong pillars.
Yeah,
We're spending left, right, and center.
I don't understand it.
Like you say, on projects that don't matter.
And
These
not
are
needed.
things, right, that don't matter. These are things that we really need to be looking at when you hear a commission or inquiry comes forward, because who is this money? Who's receiving this money? Where is it going? Like, what is really going on?
And my problem is not just that the money is being spent, and no disrespect to any contractor, because we all have to eat and we all have to live. But it's the same. The money is flowing within the same circles, constantly, consistently, and over again. So it's almost like it's the same. You're being accused of you said the word cronyism, and your very first contract out the bat is to a district, but a man down in your district. I mean, straight down in your district. Even if he was the bidder that came in, it looks bad. It sends a bad message. It doesn't actually strengthen the confidence of the public in that the stance that you're making to say nothing's wrong, business as usual, these are lies, we are not corrupt, I don't have cronies. Well, here it is, a man in your district who is, no disrespect again to the contractor, hasn't been very active in the construction field for a long while, being awarded a double-digit million contract, basically.
Who got the contract?
Mr. Cameron. Romeo Cameron.
The taxi driver?
Correct.
Okay, we'll take a break and come right back.
Our floral experts use their creative flair to design beautiful and exotic bouquets. We are the on-island wedding experts, and for boating enthusiasts, we can help you to add a touch of floral elegance, life, and color to your yacht, mega yacht, both locally and internationally. We've even worked with celebrities. At Blossoms, we continue to deliver smiles and watch our customers bloom.
The win! Oh!
What the hell?
I'm freaking out!
Is time.
284 Music.
Coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands.
What's poppin'? What's really good? What's happening? What's happening? What's up?
Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Season 3, episode 3. I'm sitting with Kishma, and we're just discussing the happenings of the past couple weeks, and some issues that we're facing in the BVI. So I'm just gonna go right back to Kishma to pick up where I left off. Now, I'm not gonna stay long on this, Kishma. I had to take a quick break. I'm stuttering. I had to take a quick break there because...
Take a breath, Cindy. Take a breath.
I try to keep up with the news. If I miss something, I have people, I don't want to say it like that, but I do have people around me that feed me information. And I know this information on DDM building came out yesterday, but I'm actually surprised. And Kishma, I agree with you. Everybody has to eat, but it has to make sense. So that's all I'm going to say in relation to that. We had the governor leave last week.
Couple weeks ago. It was last week before.
Yeah. And the premier, another conversation that has been swirling was the way the premier was dressed to see the governor off. What was your...
Well, what I first heard about the send-off was I saw John Black post on Facebook about... obviously, he would see because his little food van is right there.
Yes, it was very quiet.
And he was like, no official photographer from GIS, just somebody with their phone camera, whether or not it's their personal camera, their personal phone or a government phone. Mm-hmm. But what I think, and then of course the pictures came out about the way Mr. Foy was dressed. Mm-hmm. And to me, what was troubling about it, or rather what it confirmed, whether they realize it yes or no, was a narrative that they do have a problem with the governor. Mm-hmm. Because if you didn't have a problem with the Commission of Inquiry, you don't have a problem with the governor, you're not beefing with the governor, or even if you are, you're supposed to understand the diplomacy of your office.
I'm glad you used that word, diplomacy.
Yeah, you're supposed to understand the diplomacy of your office and swallow your pride, put on the suit, and send them off. You have to.
That is the problem with these guys, especially with Andrew. He needs a hard lesson in diplomacy. But it shows his immaturity and the fact that he's not ready to lead and he can't lead us anywhere.
Right.
The BVI is in trouble.
I agree.
Our leadership is crap.
I agree.
Okay?
I think when you have, not meaning to cut you off, I think when you have something as important as your governor being sent off, whether you like whether you like the mood to quote Bunchy, big Gus hit the Uno draft forward, hit us Uno and roll out. We didn't like the move and we couldn't reverse it, but you have to do your job because the entire territory looking at you. You wasn't dressed, you showed up late, you're the last person to fall in formation. Mm-hmm. And you was basically the first one gone. Mm-hmm. It's not
very
a good
disrespectful.
look. It's not
very
a good,
disrespectful.
It's not a good look. And where were your other cabinet ministers to stand with you? Only you? I mean, if the opposition doesn't come, that's fine. They're not expected to stand in that same role.
I heard a story about a year and almost 2 years ago. One, I could tell you, the premier's behavior doesn't surprise me, right? These are bully tactics. So if I think of a cartoon, those cartoons with Trump being thrown out of office, mm-hmm. The illustrations of him just sitting in, how babies throw tantrums on the floor?
Right.
That's how I see the elected leader of the BVI right now as a tantrum thrower. I can't get what I want. I'm being corrected by my mom. You're being pulled in and I'm just going to throw a tantrum like a child.
Right.
Okay? Not ready for leadership. Almost 2 years ago, when the VIP came into power, they did a road show and the conversation was around this 400 million that the Crown was going to guarantee for us. So he had a road show and he was going to go to the UK to meet with the FCO office or whatever. I want to draw your recollection to when. So he took this trip and he came back. Apparently, this is what was told to me almost 2 years ago. Apparently, he never made the meeting. So he was late, about 45 minutes late. And if you know anything about the culture of the British, you have to be 15 minutes early. Okay? So he was late. And by the time he got there, they were like, well, the meeting is over. The time for the meeting is gone. I can't tell you if that is true or not, but that is what came to me. And I had to put two and two together because if you recall, when he came back, he could not tell us anything. Do you recall?
I recall.
He could not tell us anything about that UK trip.
I recall also that
Nothing around it.
I recall also that is this the instance where they were lobbying for a certain amount of control. They didn't want RDA being able to completely control
all of that,
the
but
money.
there was no meeting.
Right.
Apparently, there was no meeting. So this tardiness, I brought it up to say, this tardiness, his lack of respect for power and authority, it's dangerous for us. And those are the reasons I see why we're here at this point where you have a leader that behaves like a dictator. It's his way or the highway, and if you get in the way, he's going to tarnish you or attempt to. So it is a sad reality that the BVI is actually taking on this embarrassment because of.
Let me ask you a question, though, and let me play the devil's advocate in the room, because, you know, I like to do that all the time. How very different is this leader from some of the previous leaders who, in fact, were nicknamed dictators in their own rights?
You know,
this is particularly, to be honest, if let's call a spade a spade. This type of leadership is synonymous with this party.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say that, I mean, anyone that has run or led this country, their names can be called. And, you know, the Honorable Ralph O'Neill, he was like that. And I've mentioned on my Facebook page that the last time we were in a stromo like this with the UK, it was under the VIP with Ralph as the leader. So they have set a precedent. And so this is one of the reasons that I try to stay away from them in terms of supporting candidacies and so forth. And sometimes you do want to, you know, look at people individually.
Correct.
But there are changes that need to happen inside of the crux of the VIP before you look at any new person in there that can say, bring a new change.
I agree with you with that, because my thing is this is why I say to people all the time, I don't necessarily believe that all political parties, every single member to its core is bad.
Correct.
I don't believe that every member is good either. However, if you're good and you stand in line with a party whose has a particular reputation, then how good are you?
Exactly. So that's when everybody's integrity is put on the table and you have to make that decision.
Even if you're a good individual, you're lying down with dogs, you're going to get fleas, you're going to get tarnished. Even if your hands are nowhere near the cookie jar, as they like to say, if your party got,
Kishma,
that's it for you. You're going to be the baby that's thrown out with a bathwater, even if you never did anything.
You will be. But I if you sit back and you really think, and I've had some of the people, the candidates that have actually run with the VIP that have been elected, the most important thing for them was actually winning. So if the most important thing for you is winning, that already speaks to your level of integrity or any change that you can make for the BVI. You can't tell me, yes, I got to win first so I can. No. Why do you want to win? So their integrity has been hanging in the balance for me for a little while. But to see them, especially young people like Kai and Shawande and Shari, you see them and they sit back and they're quiet. They're like, that's some damn strong Kool-Aid. They sit back and they say absolutely nothing. I don't even know if I know their position on the COI. Do you? I just hear Shawande. I hear Andrew. And I think Vincent said something ridiculous the other week that I don't even want to talk about.
And Malone as well.
Yes. Well, you know what? I'm going to say this right now. If I was Malone or any of them, I'd be concerned because, like you said, this has been coming for a long time.
Correct.
And when you start thinking about dynasties like the Malone dynasty,
That's a serious one.
I would be worried too. Okay? I would be worried. Wondering if there's anything that you have that you didn't make outside of government. I would worry too.
Well, like you said, I saw this quote on your page. You said, if you have marble floors, but the government paved your driveway and built your retaining
That's
wall.
a real thing,
You listen. You speaking. Listen.
That's a real thing.
You preaching to the choir, and I don't seen it moving under way too many times.
That's a real thing that I live there. That is actually
like
somebody's home.
I know you hear me tell my brother all the time.
So,
I know where the bodies are buried. I see it. I see it.
I sit and I watch this stuff and I shake. And it worries me more, even to the point that we're here at this COI, and yet some of our most respected voices are absolutely silent. Those that have run for office have been successful. The only person I've heard really saying anything is Myron Walwyn.
Yeah, he did. He wrote a very long post.
He's the only person. He's saying what he needs to say on his post. He's ending up in the paper, and he isn't excluding himself.
No.
He's saying we.
Yeah, he said try us.
Okay?
Try us.
No, we've made some errors.
Yeah.
He's putting, but you just can't hear anything. I don't know if that is for self-preservation or people don't know where this is going, so they don't want to hang themselves, but what about the territory?
I did see a very long post that went out by one of our farmer PSs, and I'm not going to call his name, but he basically was like, this has been going on for a long time. Mr. Ford, you and your administration, I really don't care for you guys because y'all been using propaganda tactics to...
and they have been.
But that's the problem, because that's what wins elections wrong there. No one cares about the actual issues. Are we ever concerned about when election come around is how much mud the next side could sling to dirty the next side?
And it's not even election time alone, right? And I talk about it.
Yeah.
It's this gossipy
correct
way that we are. We're attracted to gossip, nothing else. I keep talking about how immature we are as a people, therefore making us immature politically. Everything is about gossip and the juice, and you hear this and da-da-da. Do you know the country is burning? Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Wake me up when it's burned. They don't want to hear that.
No.
They just want to hear the nastiness and so the political candidates, they feed into that and they give the people what they want.
But one of the things that I keep saying, and it's about 2 or 3 elections now, I keep putting this question on the table for every party that goes to any of those calling shows. What y'all going to do to pull the country back together as a community? And I never get no answer, ever. And I feel like the problem is people are too divided. People are too, I've been saying it, people are too selfish at this point. People are too much for their own interests. So they don't look at what's going to benefit the country overall. People are too myopic. It doesn't affect me directly, so I don't care. So you have to wait until you get hit, and then when the pigs start to squeal, and all of a sudden it's like, hold on, and it's like, but there's been a problem. It's been a problem for a long time. We have a lot of social issues. We have a lot of governance issues that are not being tended to.
Absolutely.
They're not being tended to in the right way. They're not being tended to justly. They're not being looked at. And the way in which, when they are being tended to, it's the highest levels of injustice that's being lobbied against these problems. And you have to ask yourself, who are the policy makers that make these things possible? So if you're saying, you're standing by and saying that you don't want your civil service in your government is not corrupt, because your civil service is a reflection of your government. And your government, if your government is corrupt, your civil service in turn would in fact be corrupt. And your people, by rights, are also corrupt. So, you just happen to smuggle $500 million worth of drugs, and it's, it's nothing. You just happen to have, you know, people who are so brazen to try these acts in broad daylight. Like there's for me, it's the level of how much it's in your face. Like, yes, you would probably never be able to stop government inequality and the political corruption, but it's in your face. Like it's legal.
But Kishma, there is corruption everywhere.
Of course.
You have these things everywhere. And nobody's saying that these things don't exist other places. But like you're saying, the BVI is so small, right? It's so small that it's too much of a burden for people, for it to be raw like that, for it to just take on, you know, it's a giant that that needs to be reeled in. I should say it needs to be reeled in. When you are in a position where, depending on who the administration is in power, you have to worry whether your business is going to make it or not. That is not where we want to be.
No.
You want policies and legislations that create that foundation that everybody can strive. Not that I would send a trade license in, and they assume, because you're assuming who people vote for or support. You assume that, say, I didn't vote for you. Oh, let's leave that there.
And it sits.
Let's not sign that off
and
right now.
And
when you lose your job, and I'm not referring to me, I'm referring to other people that have come to me.
Right.
Okay, and I've spoken about their job losses or what have happened to them, and you'd have other ministers or elected reps say to them, oh, well, you weren't pushing for us, so I didn't really have to push for you. Like, you know, this came down from the top, and I don't know what's going on with you and this person, but, you know, that was his. Listen, it doesn't matter who voted for you. The point is, you've been elected to run the affairs of the country, and you should do that with the highest dignity. It doesn't matter who voted for you or who didn't vote for you. And this is the serious, serious place that we are, where we cannot afford to be. I cannot sit back and watch a Virgin Islander starve because they don't like what I say on thing, and they approach me for some help, and I just turn my back on you because I feel you don't support me. That is crazy. You know how inhumane that is? And that is where these guys are. I can't tell you that that's where anybody else is, because I have not confronted that.
Right.
And it's not an I thing. Maybe people have confronted that. I don't know.
I do think it's inhumane. I do think the way they dismiss
so
people is inhumane.
This administration that we are at such a dangerous place with these guys. And they've heard me, you know, they are out there now, and they're driving this conversation where I am bitter. So I'm talking. Like, really? I've been talking for years.
Correct.
I've been calling for these guys' resignation and firing before they fired me.
Right.
I've been talking, I haven't changed anything about me. Okay? And the fact is, these guys are so dangerous for the BVI. They're dangerous for our democracy. They're dangerous in terms of us getting any further in our self-determination. They're dangerous for our path to independence. I must say it as I said all the time. These guys need to be fired immediately. Immediately. They need to be relieved of their jobs. And, you know, when I say that, people get a little concerned because they're like, well, what are we going to do?
Run the civil service. The civil service does what the government does.
Sometimes what is on the other side isn't as bad as we think.
Clean up the civil service and let the civil service run the country. It can. It's not like it can. When there's no government when they've dissolved the house and there are no policy makers, don't the civil service run the country?
I'm going to say something. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to say something to you. We'll take a short break.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
The country to be on.
Welcome back to Cut Deep. We're on season 3, episode 3, and I have Kishma Penn. She's sitting with me. I just really wanted to have candid conversations tonight, and she's someone that I can call on. Her passion is there, and at the end of the day, I know that Kishma has the best interest for the territory. Sometimes we may not like how she comes off, or maybe some of the things that she says, but we've all been there. We're all going to be there, and so that isn't a reason to, climb down anybody's throat. So we're gonna continue with this conversation as we've been going in regards to the BVI, the COI, and just where we are as a people. Kishma, there was something I wanted to. I apologize. There was something I wanted to bring up with you. You were talking about the civil service running the country, etc. Here's my thing. I feel that quite often we look at the glass half empty. Let me say it like that, and not half full. The BVI needs changes. Some drastic changes.
I agree. Because
we've sat so long and allowed so many things to happen and so many things to fester, right? When you think of whether it's social services or whatever, we've just allowed so many things to fester. I feel at the point where we are with the COI, this is what I feel that can happen. I don't necessarily think that the UK wants to suspend our constitution. And this is my personal opinion, I'm not bringing a message. This is my personal position on this matter. I don't feel like they necessarily want to suspend the Constitution, okay? However, I feel that there is going to be a knock-on effect on this administration, on the past administration, and under the Ralph administration. It spans a wide. We are going to. The people have lost confidence in leadership, basically. I find it important for a team to step up and to make themselves readily available, to present themselves as an interim team that can take on the government affairs and move the government and move the Virgin Islands forward in a more democratic way. I wanna watch my words. A group of people that we feel that would make the necessary changes that the UK is requiring for us to even have more autonomy. Okay? I feel like if that group of persons can step up to show that there are still people here with that type of integrity that cares for the territory, that we can avoid the blow that may be hanging in the balance for us. If you understand what I'm saying.
No, I see what you're saying.
If you understand where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Because I have watched the Virgin Islands Party administration. A lot of times, Kishma, I do hold back. I don't want to put things on the table because there are families that will be hurt. And you try to avoid that.
Correct.
There are families that can be hurt. But where we are right now in Virgin Islands history and what the Virgin Islands Party represents, the people should really consider firing this bunch of guys.
I think they should consider it. I think the House needs dissolving.
Absolutely.
This is why I said, when people ask, I say, I don't necessarily think that all should be gone, but definitely we need shuffle out some and shuffle in some new ones for sure.
I think everything on I think the House should be dissolved.
Yeah,
I definitely think that
definitely dissolve the House.
I definitely think
put people to run
everything-
again and see who make it back in and who
Yes.
don't make it back in, and deal with what you get. Deal with whomever you end up farming afterwards. Because let's be honest, the Cali election tomorrow, the Green and White have some serious problems winning the House, and that's a fact. That's not I hopeful. That's not you being hopeful. That's the voice that the people saying right now, because you have all the prominent members of the community, the laymen and everybody saying, you know, yes, that's their party, but if they had to get back, if they had to run for election right now, it make it bad. I've heard party members, I've heard farmer people who ran for office with them say the same thing. They don't think the party capable of winning a House next go around. Not on its current trajectory. They don't see it.
what I want to know, and what I want to come out of this, like you'll see a lot of papers floating around now, what's happening in Turks and Caicos, etc. Might I just add, because people seem to think that Turks and Caicos is under UK rule. It's not. It's not. They did have their constitution suspended.
That was necessary.
And that was because the corruption was so blatant that they had to step in. And sometimes it's necessary to have that kind of oversight for the relief of the people. Cayman too was in a position where the UK had stopped them spending money without their permission, because we do get carried away when
Correct.
it comes to, you know, that spending money thing, and where that money ends up, we do get carried away. And they were spending so much money that they stopped them from borrowing without their permission. Now they can. Now their surplus is amazing. They did what they had to do to get back on their feet and to make sure that they're doing all that they can towards their self-determination and probably towards their independence.
Right.
And that's the problem with us. We're not doing anything.
Well, sometimes that's generally what you need to do, you know. You move out of mommy and daddy house playing hot and heavy. You ain't hearing, you ain't listening. You gone out, you experience life. And what happened? You got to move back home.
You do.
Because you wasn't ready. And you come back home, you set yourself so that when you go out the second time, you don't have to come back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem that I think that a lot of people not realizing. Like, they're saying that we've self-governed for a long time. It's 70 years. Talk to me when we've governed for 500 years. Then that's what you call governing for a long time.
Yeah, we're very young.
We haven't governed for a century. So we're extremely young. We haven't been exposed to international problems in some regards that other countries deal with. We don't have to go and find economic markets.
COVID. We can't handle COVID.
We don't have to find economic markets for our products. Like we've never ended up in a space where our exports was said we can't export to the United States and we can't export to the UK. So we have to start picking up the phone and calling other places to see who would take our fish. We've never had to deal with those kinds of problems.
We've never run the BVI. It's never been really run as a business, and it is a business. To spend money, you have to make money. And quite often I say, you know, since Lavity stole, this territory has not seen vision.
Oh, and there's no vision. The people shall perish.
Lavity, there has been no vision. Ralph O'Neill carried on Lavity's vision. And when Lavity's vision came to an end, or what he had foreseen and what he had put in place, since then, all we've been doing is spending money on things where money can siphon back off to wherever. there is no plan for the BVI. There's no plan for our young people.
Or lack of a national plan to me is one of our biggest downfalls as a people. Because
Absolutely.
if there is a national plan, it wouldn't matter if they're red and white, green and white, orange and white, blue and white. Whoever in there have to follow the plan.
And that's another thing. You come to that point where, the lack of accountability again for the people's future and for the people's money, because you come into office and because you don't like that the NDP put this here, you need some credit for it, you pull it back here, you kill contracts, you fire people, all of these things. And it's lack of accountability,
and
because
they're all guilty of it. They're all guilty
Kishma,
of it.
I have to now go and sue the BVI government. Okay? That's not something that I want to do. That's suing yourself.
Right.
Okay? But when you have these guys or any government administration running around doing whatever they feel that they can do with no accountability, so I can't say they're not held accountable for the decisions they make. The government are horses, right? So all of these things come into play when you talk about accountability and projects and how projects are done and the canceling of projects and killing of contracts. And it's just a whole big thing. And I'm going to say again, I'm glad the Commission of Inquiry is here. I don't know how far back it's going to go. However far back it's going to go, I heard Andrew say something about before he was born. No, boo-boo. This is going as far back as you've been in office, because you've been under question from the first time you entered office. There have been questions around you. Okay? So I am glad that it is here. I am hoping that we finally get the foundation that we need coming out of this. I can't tell you that I want our Constitution to be suspended.
Right.
But if that has to be, then that has to be. And we learn some strong lessons, and we move forward. If you want to say something in closing.
All I would say is I'm in full support of the Commission of Inquiry. A lot of people say to me, as a civil servant, you need to be scared. And I say this, and it's not empty words for me. If I have to be part of the fat that gets trimmed in order for the civil service to be reformed, right? Then I am just a casualty of the war. It's necessary. I can't sit down. That's my sacrifice that I'm making for the country and for good governance. I don't just talk the talk. I talk the talk and walk the walk. So if I have to be one of them, then take the axe. I am confident that the universe and my God going to provide for me.
Yeah.
I'm not worrying because that's just how it goes.
It's interesting you say that, and that is one of the unfortunate positions that we're in terms of the civil service, and where we think about just ourselves and how we are, just us. How am I affected?
Yeah.
No, it's how the territory is affected.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, we're out of time, and this was a great conversation. We're going to close for tonight here on this. I thank you guys for tuning in with us again. Thank you, Kishma, for being here once again. I'm sure you'll be back.
Of course.
I wish you all a good evening, and I will see you next week.